Hi everybody, this is Tom Teacher, and this is Monica English. Today we are going to start a new book. This is by author Louis Sachar. Louis Sachar is a really famous author because he wrote a book maybe you've heard of before called Holes. Now, Holes was made into a movie.
Disney Pictures brings the award-winning book to life. Holes.
My name is Stanley Yelnats. All my life I seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Louis Sachar is a really famous author not just because he wrote Holes, but because Holes won a Newbery Award. That's one of the most important awards for young readers for the books that they should read. It's a really good movie and you should check it out if you have read the book first. But Louis Sachar didn't only write Holes, he also wrote a series of books called Wayside School. Today we will start the first of these books called Sideays Stories from Wayside School. It's a great book and so are the Wayside Stories. I think you guys are really going to like these books because there's a lot of really strange and funny things that happen in this book. Let's open the book now and turn the pages until you can find the word introduction. We're going to start with the introduction, so keep flipping the pages until you find it. But what is an introduction? An introduction tells you all the things you need to know before you start something. And the introduction to this book is going to tell you lots of stuff to help you understand what you're going to read. Now, this is, as I said, a strange story with some pretty silly things in it. Let's read the introduction to find out why it's so strange. First, it's about a school. And you know that because it's called Wayside School. Well, Wayside is the name of the school. But there's something really unusual about this school. Do you know what it is? Well, before we answer that question, let's take a look at the text of this story. And one thing you're going to find is the word story. It's going to appear over and over because the word story has two meanings. One, it can mean a story like you tell, and two, it can mean the floors of a building. And this school is strange because this school has 30 stories. It is really, really tall. And what's worse, it has no elevator. That means that if you go to school on the 30th story, you have to run all the way up the stairs every morning to get to class. That is going to make you really tired. And at recess, you have to run all the way back down and then all the way back up to go to class again. At lunch, all the way down and all the way back up. So, I bet these kids and the teachers have pretty strong legs because they do a lot of climbing stairs. So now we know that this school is 30 stories tall, but we need to ask why? Why is it 30 stories tall? How could this happen? No school should be 30 stories tall. Well, if you read the text, you will find the answer to that question. So read carefully, take a look, and see if you can figure out why this school is 30 stories tall. Well, it looks like originally the school was supposed to be one story or one floor with 30 classrooms. But the builder had the plan and he read it sideways. So instead of building the school like this in a row, he built it up and down in one huge long column. That means that the school is not only 30 stories tall, but also there's only one classroom on each story. 30 classrooms, 30 stories. Well, that's pretty weird. 30 is going to be a pretty important number in this book because guess what else? There are 30 chapters in this story. But we haven't started. We're still only on the introduction. So now that we know why the school is sideways, why it's 30 stories tall with one classroom on each story, we need to know how this happened. How about the builder? He's not a very good builder. He sure made a huge mistake. So, how does he feel? Well, if we read the book, we can see that the builder is very sorry. I don't know if that makes it okay, but at least he's sorry. And if we keep reading, we can see that all of the students that we will read about in this book are all on the top story, the 30th floor. So all of these students have to go all the way up those stairs every single morning just to start class. That has got to be so tiring, unbelievably tiring. Can you imagine going to school on the 30th floor? Oof, and no elevator. And no escalator. Yikes. But there is one good thing about going to a school that was built sideways. So remember, the school was supposed to be one floor with 30 rooms, but instead it was built up and down. But that means all that land that was supposed to be for the school is still free. So the one good thing about having this school is they have a huge playground. Huge! Imagine a playground that is as big as a building with 30 rooms. That's gigantic. So that means when they go all the way down those stairs for recess, maybe they could feel good because they have so much room to run around. Although maybe they're going to be too tired from all that going up and down the stairs. I don't know. That could be pretty hard. In all the paragraphs you just read, you found lots of information that's going to help you understand this book. Like the fact that the building is really tall, or the fact that all of the children go to school on the top floor. But there's one last paragraph at the end of the introduction, and this paragraph is going to tell you about the tone of this story. Do you know what the word tone means for a story? Well, tone means feeling. What is the feeling of this book? If you read carefully in that last paragraph, you will find the answer. This story may sound strange and silly. So, I think this book is going to have lots of strange and silly stories, and I bet it's going to be a little bit funny too. So the tone of this book is sort of strange and silly and funny. Maybe we could call that wacky. Wacky means sort of strange and silly and funny. So we could say that the tone of this book is kind of wacky. Anyway, now that we know the tone, and we know about the school, and we know about the students, we are ready to read. There are a whole bunch of strange and silly stories coming, and you need to be ready. Because the very first chapter, I think, is the maybe strangest and silliest chapter in the whole book. And if you're reading the book, if you're turning those pages, you might have already seen the picture on chapter 1. There's a picture of a teacher, and this chapter is called Mrs. Gorf. Now you can see there are some strange things about this teacher. One is the pointed ears and the long tongue like a snake. So she's no normal teacher. There is definitely something weird, strange, maybe wacky about her. We'll have to see. We're going to read chapter 1 next time. But this time, reread the introduction. Reread it, practice, do your Quizlet homework, and listen to how everything sounds, and don't forget, copy, copy, copy. You have to practice speaking as much as possible when you read so that you can get really comfortable speaking English. Okay? Anyway, I think that's it for today's introduction. You know about Louis Sachar, you know about Wayside School, and you are ready to start reading these strange and silly stories, which maybe we could call wacky. I'll see you guys next time for chapter 1, where we will talk about all of the super weird stuff that Mrs. Gorf does. Bye-bye. See you next time.